The Nigerian Civil War, commonly known as the Nigerian Biafran War or the Biafran War, was fought between Nigeria and the Republic of Biafra, a secessionist state that declared its independence from Nigeria in 1967. General Yakubu Gowon governed Nigeria, while Lieutenant Colonel Chukwuemeka Emeka Odumegwu Ojukwu led Biafra. Biafra represented the nationalist aspirations of the Igbo ethnic minority, whose leaders believed they could no longer coexist with a federal government controlled by Muslim Hausa interests. Northern Nigerian Fulanis. Political, economic, ethnic, cultural, and religious difficulties arose prior to the United Kingdom's formal decolonization of Nigeria from 1960 to 1963. In 1966, the immediate reasons of the war were a military coup, a counter-revolution, and anti-Igbo pogroms in northern Nigeria. Control over the lucrative oil production in the Niger Delta was also critical from a strategic standpoint. Within a year, federal government troops had surrounded Biafra and taken control of coastal oil facilities as well as the city of Port Harcourt. During the ensuing stalemate, a blockade was imposed as a deliberate policy, resulting in mass hunger. During the war's 2.5 years, there were around 100,000 military losses, while between 500,000 and 2 million Biafran people died of famine. Images of hungry and starving Biafran youngsters flooded the Western media in mid-1968. The misery of malnourished Biafrans became a cause célèbre in foreign countries, allowing international non-governmental groups to significantly increase their financing and notoriety, NGOs. The Nigerian government was primarily supported by the United Kingdom and the Soviet Union, while Biafra was supported by France, Israel, after 1968, and a few other countries. The official U.S. attitude was neutral, viewing Nigeria as Britain's responsibility, but some perceived the failure to acknowledge Biafra as favoring the Nigerian government. With enhanced British help, Nigerian federal forces launched their final onslaught against the Biafrans on December 23, 1969, with the 3rd Marine Commando Division leading the way. The division, led by Colonel Olusegun Obasanjo, who later became president twice, was successful in dividing the Biafran enclave by the end of the year. The final Nigerian onslaught, dubbed Operation Tailwind, began on January 7, 1970, with the 3rd Marine Commando Division attacking from the north and the 2nd Infantry Division from the south. The Biafran towns of Owerri and Uli were destroyed on January 9 and 11, respectively. Only a few days before, Ojukwu had fled to the Ivory Coast by jet, leaving his deputy Philip Effiong to handle the arrangements of the surrender to General Yakubu Gowon of the Federal Army on January 13, 1970. On January 14, 1970, the capitulation paper was signed in Lagos, signaling the end of the Civil War and the rejection of secession. The fighting concluded a few days later, with Nigerian forces pushing into the remaining Biafran-held territories with little resistance. The awful chapter of violence has just concluded, Gowon stated after the conflict. We are in the early stages of national reconciliation. We have another chance to construct a new nation. My dear countrymen, we must pay tribute to the fallen, to the heroes who have given the ultimate sacrifice so that we might establish a nation that is great in justice, fair commerce, and industry. Nigeria's goals, and that Nigeria was fighting to keep control of Biafra and its people rather than evict or exterminate them. Biafra filed an official complaint of genocide against Igbos with the International Committee on the Investigation of Crimes of Genocide, which concluded that the Nigerian government's acts against the Igbo constituted genocide. With special reference to the Asaba massacre, jurist Emma Okocha labeled the killings as the first black-on-black genocide. Ekwe blames the British government for their support of the Nigerian government, which he claims allows depredations against the Igbo to continue. In 2022, Carnegie Mellon University professor Uju Anya, whose relatives were displaced and killed as a result of the Civil War, condemned the United Kingdom as a thieving, raping, genocidal empire, in a pair of tweets commemorating the death of Elizabeth II, the country's reigning monarch at the time of the conflict.